Let's talk a bit more about all of this with our Chief Foreign Affairs Editor, Rob Parsons, who's with me. And Rob, we just saw some images there of Donetsk and heard how some civilians there are feeling. But give us a broader picture. Throughout Ukraine, how worried do you think people are right now?
Well, inevitably, when you've got a massive army like that gathering on your eastern border, you're going to be pretty concerned about it. And Ukrainians follow what the rest of the world is saying. They know these negotiations are going on, that they've not been going particularly well between Russia and the United States, to put it mildly. So they're tense, obviously. But the message they're getting from their government is that they shouldn't get overstressed about this, that there's no reason for thinking that war is about to break out, that the indications they're getting from their own intelligence services are that, at this stage at least, military conflict is unlikely, that an invasion is not likely to take place, that the Russians, for instance, don't have sufficient and the right sort of forces in place on the eastern border, and therefore that it's not likely to take place. But, obviously there are all kinds of rumours swirling around, and some of the part of the population is more concerned than the rest. But by and large, the impression you get in the major Ukrainian cities is that people are fairly relaxed about what's happening. They've been through it. Years now of tensions on their eastern border. 14,000 people plus have been killed in the conflict in the Donbass region on the east of the country. So, in a way, it feels like it's more of the same for people in Ukraine at the moment. Although at the back of their minds, they know that there is this enormous risk that things could get out of hand, that it could get very much worse. And today, for instance, we heard in one of our earlier reports, Russian media sources suggesting that something could happen. There could be a rocket attack after the 18th of February, which is incidentally when the Beijing Olympics come to an end.
Well, let's talk about the kind of flurry of diplomacy that's happening at the moment at the same time, because we have this meeting here in Paris today.
Yeah.
We've also been hearing from Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister. I mean, he's saying that actually it's Western countries, not Russia, that's acting aggressively at the moment, and that Russia will take retaliatory measures to any kind of Western action. I mean, what do you make of that kind of language from him?
Well, it's, the language coming from Sergei Lavrov and the Russian government from day one of this tension has been pretty aggressive. Lavrov is still saying and is expecting that there will be a letter from the US authorities at some stage this week in response to the demands, those tough demands that Russia has made on NATO and the United States about never accepting Ukraine or any other former Soviet republic into NATO and pulling back to where NATO was in 1997. Demands which it knows were never going to be accepted. We don't have the written response yet, but one can only imagine that it is going to be as negative as the verbal responses to Mr. Lavrov were. In which case, he says, Russia will take appropriate action. At this stage, it's very difficult to see what that appropriate action is going to be. The fear, of course, is that is the military action that we've all been fearing, that whether that takes the form of a full-scale invasion or whether an attempt is made to slice off part of, say, southeast Ukraine, or whether it's a rocket attack designed to destroy Ukrainian infrastructure, everybody is still guessing at this stage. But clearly, the tensions are building up. At some stage, the diplomacy, one imagines, has to achieve something, or it comes to a juddering halt.
Rob Parsons, we'll see what happens. Thanks very much indeed for your analysis on the programme.